For the second time today, we're back here on Philadelphia 76ers now because there's more to discuss on the Sixers here on day 3 of NBA free agency. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for being here with us late on a Sunday, or for some of you waking up early with us on a Monday. Coming your way on tonight's show, Adrian Wojnarowski saying, quote, "It's more than conceivable that James Harden could remain in Philadelphia." Speaking of a James Harden trade, the asking price is said to be extremely high. And on today's first show earlier today, discussed a Damian Lillard trade update. The Sixers still said to be interested. They could also be a part of the trade as a third team without landing Damian Lillard. Talked about Daryl Morey swinging and missing on Jalen McDaniels and the Sixers' interest around Malik Beasley. Before we get to all of the latest on the Harden front, we're 160 people away from 11,000 subscribers. If I can wake up on the eve of 4th of July tomorrow and we're at 11K, that's going to be sensational. If you're looking for informative, entertaining, insightful Sixers coverage year-round, and we're really bringing the heaters at this point of the NBA calendar, lock us in, subscribe right now. So the latest on James Harden. Couple of interesting tidbits here from Adrian Wojnarowski. He was on ESPN today throughout their NBA coverage, and he said this to start. You saw how Daryl Morey handled the Ben Simmons situation a couple of years ago. He waited him out, tried to convince him to come back. Now, it never worked, but what's different with James Harden is there's a relationship with Daryl Morey, with Tad Brown, the president who oversees the 76ers, from back with their time with the Houston Rockets. That is a different factor in this, Woj said. And so far, teams who have talked to Philadelphia, the asking price is extremely high. That's what you expect starting out with Daryl Morey. Again, I think this is a process that's not going to get resolved quickly. And I've continued to say this about this whole situation with James Harden. It came as a surprise to me for Harden to ask for a trade and for Morey to try to deal him and not want to bring him back, giving him the years and money that Harden felt as though he deserved because of the relationship between Morey and James Harden. Morey traded for him when he was running basketball operations with the Houston Rockets. It's honestly one of the best trades in recent memory of this NBA generation, considering the player that Harden became as a former six-man with the Oklahoma City Thunder, is one of the more efficient and best offensive players that we've seen in the history of the NBA. And then Daryl Morey comes to Philadelphia, and not soon thereafter that, he's trading away Ben Simmons for Harden once again. I thought that because of their relationship, there was a good chance that Harden was going to come back. And then when you hear the report from Woj, who even said Harden likely to have played his last game with the Sixers, I was like, this is Daryl Morey's boy. And now is Woj starting to change his tune a little bit. I will say this. I think that the player, obviously, that teams are looking to acquire right now, as far as a superstar goes, which damages the market for James Harden, is Damian Lillard. He's the better player. He's the better playoff performer. I'd rather have Damian Lillard in the foxhole as compared to Harden, who anytime things get rough, he kind of shrivels up and shies away from the moment, whereas Damian Lillard kind of has that assassin, dog-like mentality. Remember what happened, though, with the Ben Simmons trade, and that goes back to that last line from Woj. This could drag out for a little while because Daryl Morey is a stiff negotiator. He's not going to get fleeced in any trade. He's the one who likes to do the fleecing, so he could drag this out for a really long time until he gets the deal that he feels as though brings the Sixers the best value. Then there was this conversation on ESPN between Hannah Storm and Woj. Hannah Storm started off by saying, is it conceivable that nothing's going to happen, that we're going to talk about this all summer long, and when training camp starts, James Harden will be in that same uniform? And this is where stuff starts to get a little bit juicy. And for Sixers fans who dislike Harden, how about this idea that would certainly have me scratching my head too? Because when Harden was disgruntled in Houston, he gained all that weight, looked very disinterested, going to strip clubs. With the Brooklyn Nets, it appeared as though he kind of stopped trying. If he wants out of Philadelphia, Is he going to put forward the same effort? Is he going to give up? Is he just going to mentally and physically fold, ruining the Sixers culture and their hopes of trying to chase a championship? I don't think Nick Nurse and Daryl Morey would let that happen, but with Harden, anything is on the table. So Hannah Storm asked that question, and Woj says, it's more than conceivable, Hannah, that he returns to the Sixers. That's been Daryl Morey's track record of not just giving away an asset, and they do have time on their side in the offseason, but they'll be engaged with teams, and I do think that with Damian Lillard being on the market in one aspect, it can make it harder for Philly if teams are prioritizing a Damian Lillard trade. There might be a way that the multi-team deal allows all of them to get what they want. Those typically don't come together very quickly. So Woj basically echoing what I had to say, that because Damian Lillard is on the market, that could damage the value of James Harden because Lillard is the better player, or I guess I should say Damian Lillard is taking priority over a player like Harden. So that's the latest on the Harden front. And then we have to go back to our boy Vin the Insider, who we talked about on yesterday's show, and he had tweeted out that the Sixers and Bulls were working toward a potential Tobias Harris for Zach Levine trade. I know that he's not a Woj, a Shams, one of those high-leverage NBA reporters, but Vin the Insider, he broke the Carson Wentz trade, Nick Castellanos signing, Bryce Harper signing, the James Harden trade. So he does have a track record of breaking some Philadelphia sports stories. And he tweeted this out on Sunday, that the Sixers and Chicago Bulls discussing various trade scenarios. As I type this, I'm told that Chicago is looking to set themselves up for next summer, which puts both Tobias Harris and James Harden in play as both players' contracts are expiring in 2024. So basically, you can make of that what you want. I know that the Chicago Bulls have been taking calls because teams have been calling. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Bulls are making calls for Zach Levine, but they're at least taking calls to gauge the interest from other organizations and also gauge that value at the same time to see what they can get back for Levine. My issue with this tweet, though, from Vin the Insider is that if the Bulls are looking to set themselves up for next summer, DeMar DeRozan is a free agent in 2024, so his contract is already going to be off the books. Tobias Harris and James Harden will be on one-year deals because Harden actually cannot renegotiate a contract extension with another team, so he's an expiring contract as well. But for Levine, if the Bulls do want to set themselves up, save some money for the future, because Lonzo Ball probably not going to play this year. They did sign Javon Carter, Kobe White. They're kind of in flux, right, as a team that's floating in mediocrity, like the pre-processed Sixers. Then getting rid of Zach Levine could make some sense if they get some decent value back, which allows them to maybe be competitive because they're already dishing out some money. They re-signed Nikola Vucevic, or if they just plan on kind of resetting next offseason, because Levine's contract goes through 2025, 2026, and then there's a player option 2026, 2027. So with Levine's deal, $37 million this upcoming season goes up to $40. Sorry, I'm looking at this past year. So 2022, 2023, Levine was at $37 million. This upcoming season, it goes up to $40, then $43, then $45, then 2026, 2027 is that player option that I just mentioned. That's at $48.9. So again, if the Bulls want to get rid of that deal, could they trade away Zach Levine and bring in James Harden, Tobias Harris, and also trade DeMar DeRozan? Like, how crazy would this be, right? And it's not going to happen most likely, but DeMar DeRozan and Levine to the Sixers for Tobias Harris and James Harden. And then you're looking at a Sixers team with Maxey, DeRozan, probably have to find a wing. PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid, or Zach Levine would be that wing. So that would be your starting five, right? So I'm just trying to think off the fly here. Maxey, DeRozan, Levine, PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid. I'm intrigued by that starting five. Shit. I might do it just to switch things up a little bit and not run it back with the current construction of the Sixers roster that disappointed us once again here this past year. All right, it's late on a Sunday. Appreciate everybody for watching. If the Sixers make a move from here on out until the end of the night, we're going to talk about it here on the show for sure, or whenever they make a move. I'll be giving you some breakdowns and analysis here on the program. It's Philadelphia 76ers now. Hope all of you are having a great 4th of July weekend. If you have off the next couple of days, enjoy it, be safe, have a beer for me, and turn on those noties as well. Therefore, anytime we push out a video like this, you will be notified.